would be willing to bet a very large sum of money that you are not tone deaf. Whenever I tell people I'm a voice teacher, that's like the first thing they say to me is, oh, I'm tone deaf. I'm telling you, in the 17 years I have been teaching, I have yet to meet someone who is tone deaf. However, I have met lots of people who struggle with pitch matching, and it's not as big of a deal as you think it is. I've also never met someone who I couldn't teach to do a better job of matching pitch. And the reason is it has very little to do with your ear or even your natural talent. There's sometimes just some technical, even acoustic things at play that are keeping your voice from getting to the pitch that your brain hears. So in this video, we're talking about what are some of those technical obstacles that might be getting in your way of matching pitch. And I'm pretty sure by the end of it, I'm going to convince you that you also are not tone deaf. Okay, before we get started, I really want you to have my free guide, The 3-Tiered Approach to Becoming a Better Singer. Remember that 9 times out of 10, if you're struggling to match pitch, it's not an ear issue, it's a technical issue. I made this free guide because I want to prove to you that it's not as hard as you think it is to improve your singing. So make sure to click the link in the description to get the free guide. I think the first and foremost reason people struggle with matching pitch just has to do with learning how to make your voice leave the limited pitch zone of your talking voice and move into some different areas that we only access when we're singing and that we don't really access when we're in speech. So 9 times out of 10, when I work with someone who has pitch matching problems, they can match pitch just fine as long as we are staying within the part of their voice that feels really close to where they speak. So again, this would imply that you're not tone deaf. You were able to match pitches that are in the part of your voice where you're comfortable being, right? It just means you haven't learned how to move your voice into maybe some of these higher registers or into some of these lower registers. So my approach here is different for both men and women. If I was working with a man who was struggling to match pitch outside of his speaking voice, the first thing I would do is have him make some high nasal sounds. We might go, nya, 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 or I might go, I don't wanna, right? So you're moving your voice up into this like brighter, twangier, higher position than where it is when you're down low. So if you're a guy and you feel like that's you, that's the first thing I would try. So first just say, hi, my name is Laura, or say your own name. Hi, my name is Laura, and I am a voice teacher, right? So maybe you say, hi, my name is Tom, and I am an engineer. Whatever your name is, and then state your profession, okay? Say it in your normal voice. Now, think like maybe you have a whiny teenager at home, but think sort of a whiny teenager sound and say, hi, my name is Tom and I'm an engineer. Okay. Now, if that feels like too far out for you, imagine that you're just like, I don't know, really, really nerdy and you've got a cold and you go, hi, my name is Tom and I'm an engineer, right? So it's just hi and it's really, really twangy and bright, right? So now you have left what maybe this is more like your normal speech area, right? And forgive me, it's just I'm trying to find a pitch area that might be more associated with a male sound, right? Maybe if you've left this deeper area and now you're way up here, right? So now you know how to put your voice in a different place. And you're going to have more success with matching some of those higher pitches because you realize, oh, I need to move my voice literally like up into my face a little bit and down and out of my chest and throat. For women, my approach is more to find head voice quality. It's not that men don't have head voice. It's just that that's usually sort of the next place the female voice goes, and it's not necessarily the next place the male voice goes. So women, same thing. Like we've been here in our speaking voice, and maybe we can go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we can't match pitch anymore because we can't get outside of that realm of where we speak. So with women, we're going to try to access our head voice, and I like to do that with a Julia Child sound, if you're familiar with who that was. Right? She kind of spoke like this. this, right? Or just if you can kind of feel like it's sort of like this yawny, higher sound, right? So I'm not talking like this, right? But it's got this really kind of like spacious quality. If you're having a hard time finding this, then think like an owl and go, hoo, 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 hoo. All right, and you realize like, oh wow, the voice really does have these different rooms, and I've just never left the room of my voice. I've stayed in this room the whole time. Here's this other room, and once you know how to get into that room, all these other pitches that are easier to access within head voice are available to you. And it's not to say that you couldn't access those pitches within a speech dominant quality, but sometimes it's harder. And so you find this head voice quality, woo, 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 and suddenly I'm not stuck with 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't go any higher. Ooh, right now I'm here. Okay, so first step is just learning how to move your voice and stretch it outside of the limited pitch window or pitch pattern that you maintain in your speech habits. The next most common reason I see people struggle with pitch has to just do with energy. And generally speaking, I would say when people struggle with matching pitch, it's not usually the lower tones. Sometimes it is, but it's actually usually the higher tones, right? Because again, like we're comfortable in those lower tones of our speaking voice, and we kind of know how to move our voices down a little more naturally, but we don't always know how to move them higher. So that's where the pitch problems typically come in. And it has to do with just understanding energy. So the higher you go, the more energy the sound takes. The lower you go, the less energy it takes. And that has to do with breath, and then also with the space that you're giving it with your mouth. So one really easy tip that I've put out there many times for high notes is to open your mouth more. High notes typically need a little bit more space. And the direction of that space, whether it's wide or vertical, is different depending on the color that you want in the sound. But either way, you're going to get to that higher pitch more easily if you open your mouth and you make space for it. Now you've made all this beautiful space, you need to send some breath energy through it. So I'm going to link some other videos that talk about fast energized air versus like slow sluggish air. But try this, take a big breath in and then just let it out. Okay, so that was all your air. And yes, it left your body very quickly, but I'm hoping what you can feel is that air didn't have a lot of energy in it. It was kind of like sluggish. If you could picture it moving and leaving your mouth, it's kind of wide and it just sort of tumbles out. Now, think like you're blowing out a candle and go. So what you can feel is that's not by any means probably all of your air. It's not a whole lot of air, but there's a lot of energy in that air. So the higher we go, the more we need that like faster airflow. And the lower we go, the more we need sort of that slower airflow. So one exercise that you can do to practice speeding up air and slowing it down is to hiss out very quietly, like just like a snake that's maybe, he's sleeping or he's just chill. He's just a chill snake. And then he starts to get angry. And then he realizes, oh, no big deal. And calms back down. And you can feel how the air energy, right, speeds up and slows down. And then you might notice, like, what muscles am I doing, or am I using rather, to control that action, so that when you go to sing higher pitches, give it a little more. Think a little bit more of that angry snake sound action that you did in your body. When you're going lower, give it a little bit less, right? And you might feel like you're guessing when you're doing this and when you're trying to get to that pitch. You probably will be, but you're going to get there a lot more easily if you realize, oh, I need to give it more breath energy, or I need to give it less. Okay, so that's step 2, really, of getting better with pitch matching. So understanding how to get into these different rooms in your voice, that has to do with registration. That's what we were talking about earlier. When men, I kind of have going, yeah, 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 or something like that. And women, we go, ooh, 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 right? You're getting into different rooms. And so I'm going to link my video to vocal registers if you're interested in that. Men, you have a head voice too, so you can also try that ooh, ooh, ooh. That's going to unlock different notes for you as well. And same with women. You can try the exercise that was for men of yeah, yeah, yeah. That too will unlock different parts of your voice. So once you know how to do that, we want to be able to get into those rooms instantly, right? So sometimes when we struggle with pitch matching, we don't struggle necessarily, like we get there eventually, but we struggle to get there right away, right? So we're trying to sing something and we're like, happy birthday, and then we get there. And it's because we didn't know where to place the sound when we were starting out. And so it just took us a minute and our ear pulled us there eventually and the voice got there eventually. Now, placing the sound is a very hot button topic in the voice teaching world. A lot of people don't like this idea of placing it, but I think it helps to have a general idea of where you're going to experience the sound in your body. For instance, if it's a lower note, you're maybe going to experience it down here more in your chest. If it's a higher note, maybe you're going to feel it more in your face or in your head. And having a sense of what you're aiming for ahead of time can really help us match pitch better. So if I wanted to sing this note here, but I aimed it to my chest, and then I get there eventually. It took me a minute, right? Versus I want to sing this note here, and when I aim it to my head, and I'm going to go, right? And I'm in right on it because I knew where to aim it. A lot of the time when we first start singing, I tell this to people all the time, when you first start this process of singing, it feels like you're sort of floundering around in a dark room. And then the more information you have, it's like the lights start to come on, right? And then it's like someone put a dartboard on the wall and maybe at first the lights were all off and you're throwing darts at this dartboard and it's totally dark and of course you're missing, right? The lights come on and you start to get a little bit better. Maybe you're getting like on the dartboard now. And then eventually someone points to the bullseye and goes, that's what you want to aim for. And you start aiming for that and you get better and better. I think of placing the sound like that. It just gives you something to aim for rather than just shooting in the dark and hoping for the best, okay? There's not like a right or a wrong way to place it, but at least you've got a general vicinity where you want to feel your voice. So generally speaking, lower notes, you're going to aim them lower in your body. Notes that are maybe sort of in the middle of your voice, you're going to aim more here. And notes that are in the higher part of your voice, you're going to aim more here. So that's where we get these terms like chest voice, middle voice, head voice, mixed voice, whatever. That's where they all come from. And again, check out that demystifying vocal registers video for clarification on that. But once you kind of know how to get into these rooms, when you go to start singing, know where you're going to aim it. On the breath in, already have an idea of like, this is where I'm going to aim the sound, or this is where I'm going to aim the sound. And you'll have a lot more success matching pitch right out of the gate. All right, you guys, I really hope that clarified some pitch matching things for you, and that now maybe if you thought you were tone deaf, you might start to believe, okay, I'm not tone deaf, I just struggle with matching pitch, and it's not because of my ear, it's because my voice hasn't yet learned how to get into these different compartments or these different rooms in my body. If you want to learn more about how your body is this acoustic instrument, please download my free guide. It's called The 3-Tiered Approach to Becoming a Better Singer. It breaks down all the ways in which your body is like any other instrument, and it's going to help you get into all these different rooms and probably help you with that pitch matching. So make sure to click the link, subscribe, comment, get that free 3-tiered approach, and happy singing.